Since the Cold War integration, we have found out what the best weapons are, and this has taken some weapon balancing for some unbalanced weapons, and now the meta has now fully cemented itself inside the game. But this video is going to go over some of the weapons that might have slipped under the radar and giving you the top 6 most underrated weapons inside Warzone. If you enjoy videos like this, weapon comparisons, weapon guides, and overall tips and tricks for Warzone, subscribe to our channel because we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and we're well on our way to achieve that goal. Also go ahead and click that link in the description and follow us over on Twitch, as every live stream now will be over there. So you might not fully agree with this full list, so leave us a comment down below of your underrated weapons list. So the first underrated weapon is a new Cold War tactical rifle, which is the AUG, and this weapon is extremely useful in close to medium range gunfights. At those further distances, it's a lot harder to hit your shots, but in close to medium range, this gun absolutely shreds, especially if you land some headshots. Let's take a look at the attachments you're going to want to use for this gun. So for the muzzle, you want to use the agency silencer. This is so you get that bullet velocity increase, the damage range increase, and your sound suppression. For the barrel, you then want to use a titanium barrel. Now it does only state it gives you a fire rate bonus, which it definitely does do, and this is going to reduce that time to kill as well, but it also increases your bullet velocity as well, believe it or not. I know it's not stated in game, but after a lot of testing has been done on this, it does increase your bullet velocity as well. The next attachment is your underbarrel. You then want to use the Field Agent foregrip. This reduces your vertical as well as horizontal recoil, and that is very important, especially with this gun because it's a burst fire gun and landing those shots at a distance can be quite difficult sometimes. For ammunition, you then want to use the 45 round drum. Now you don't need any other large mags here because they do increase your aim down sight time, which you don't want that con. Plus the AUG doesn't really need that larger mag in the first place. 45 rounds is more than enough. Then your last and final attachment can be anything you like. A lot of people do like using the standard optic that you get with the AUG. Personally, I'm not a huge fan, and I love using my Axial Arms 3x optic. So this is the optic I would highly recommend, either the Axial Arms or the Vision Tech 2x. Those are definitely the two that I would prefer to use. And there you have an AUG build that is extremely powerful and close to medium range. As long as you're landing some headshots with this gun, you're going to fry enemies so quickly. Moving on to the next gun, we have none other than the M4A from Modern Warfare, and I have no idea how this slipped under the radar because it's one of the best weapons in all of Warzone, and a lot of people are not using this anymore, and I don't understand why, because it has a good damage profile, the recoil is easy to manage, and not only that, it's just a very versatile gun. You can use this in close range, medium range, and even longer ranges. And personally, in my opinion, you can build this gun in so many different ways, and I'm actually going to show you 2 different builds for this gun because I think this gun is so versatile inside Warzone. For the first build, you want to use the mono suppressor. You then want to use the Grenadier barrel, which is the longest available barrel for this gun, the Commando foregrip, the 60 round mags, which is pretty much a must, and then lastly you want to use either a VLK optic, which you can use here, but personally my favorite is the PPX holo sight with the blue dot equipped. And there you have the best long range M4A1 build that you could possibly get in this game, and this is all built to control the recoil as much as possible so you can land as many of those long range shots. But like I said, this gun can be built in many different ways, so let's take a look at the second build for the M4. The next build is a close to medium range build for the M4, and I usually use this with every sniper rifle because it's so versatile, and this is actually my favourite build for the M4, even more than the long range build that I showed you previously. So firstly, for the barrel, you actually want to use the Corvus Marksman barrel. Now the reason why you choose the Marksman barrel is because it gives you a slightly faster aim down sight time than the Grenadier barrel, but it gives you all the benefits of the recoil control. You then want to equip the monolithic suppressor. Once again, this needs to be on every gun more or less. Next, for ammunition, you want to go for the 50 round mags instead of the 60 round mags. It's going to make your aim down sight time a little bit quicker once again, so you can compete more with SMGs at close range. Next, I like to use the sleight of hand perk. I think this is an amazing perk, especially when using this gun at close range. Because you are going with the smaller mags, you will need to reload more often, and you want to be able to reload as quickly as possible. So that's why I would use sleight of hand here. And then lastly, for the last attachment, you can choose a couple of different options. If you want to control recoil, the Commando foregrip is a really good option here. Or you could go and choose the stipple grip tape instead. and this is going to give you an even faster aim down sight time and a quicker sprint to fire speed, and this is the one I usually use because controlling the recoil with the M4 on the marksman barrel is actually pretty easy. Like I said, the M4 is such a versatile gun and can be built in many different ways, so let me know down in the comments below what is your favourite build for the M4A1. Next, moving on to what I believe to be the best LMG in the entire game right now, which is actually the PKM. A lot of people are talking about the Stoner, and I don't think the Stoner is actually better than the PKM in my opinion. I do feel like it's kind of getting hyped up right now, but the damage profile on the Stoner is definitely not as good as the PKM. Overall handling with the PKM is just a lot better as well, considering the Cold War LMGs do have that weird reload animation glitch at the moment. So for the attachments, you want to make sure you've got that mono suppressor on there once again for sound suppression as well as damage range. For the barrel, you want to use the 26.9 extended barrel for a bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil control increase. So this is going to help you out, especially at those longer distances. Moving on to the next attachment, you want to be making sure you've got the snatch grip on there. This helps you with recoil, but also helps you with aim down sight speed as well, which is definitely needed for the PKM because it is a slow LMG at the end of the day. Then for the optic, you can choose the VLK 3x or the Corp Combat Holo. Personally, my favourite on this gun is the PBX Holo sight. For the last attachment, you do have a couple of different options here. I personally prefer to use the close quarter stock for a faster aim down sight speed, and it also makes the gun look a lot nicer too. But also, you can use the tac laser as well, which would also help with that aim down sight speed. But personally, my favourite is the close quarter stock, and that is how I would build the PKM. So this setup is definitely made for that long distance shooting to make sure you land a lot of shots at a distance. You've got 100 round mags to play with as well, which is extremely large, and also the recoil in this gun is almost non-existent. So like I said, the PKM has got to be the best LMG inside Warzone right now, in my opinion. Before we get into the top 3 underrated weapons inside Warzone at the moment, make sure you subscribe to the channel to help us reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And on top of that, go ahead and follow us over on Twitch. At number 3, we have the Gallo shotgun. Now, the shotgun meta is definitely over inside Warzone, which is great to see. But personally, this has got to be the best shotgun inside Warzone at the moment. Shotguns, like I said, are not the meta, but if you had to use one, the Gallo's the one I would recommend. So there's not a lot of attachments that actually help with the pellet spread of this gun. So I'm going to give you the best build that will reduce that as much as possible, and I'll tell you the secret to it. Firstly, for the barrel, you want to make sure you use the reinforced heavy barrel. Not only does it give you a damage range increase, which is very important with shotguns, you want to make sure you get that low TTK out all the way up to longer distances. You also get a faster fire rate as well, which is going to reduce your time to kill. So overall, this is definitely the best option. Then for your laser, you want to make sure you've got that 5mm laser on there. Hip firing with this gun is really important, and you want to make sure your spread is as tight as possible, and this is the attachment that actually reduces your spread, and that way it ensures all your pellets are landing, so you need to be using that 5mm laser. For stock, I personally use the no stock attachment. This gives a faster sprint to fire time. It does give you a slight con to your hip fire accuracy, but because you're using that 5mm laser, it's not going to be a huge negative to you. Then for ammunition, you want to be making sure you use the Stanag 12 round tube. It does increase your reload time, but you do get that large magazine, especially to take on multiple enemies at a close range. For the last attachment, the only one I would recommend is the speed tape, and is the only attachment that actually does anything useful for this gun. Most of the tapes or the rear grips, for example, don't actually do anything at all. In terms of optics, there's not really much to be said here besides the fact that you don't need to be using optics on a shotgun, and you shouldn't really need me to tell you that either. For muzzle, a lot of these attachments give you a wider pellet spread or impact your damage range, and you don't want a wide pellet spread, you're going to be missing a lot more shots. So there we have the best shotgun build in the game at the moment, and this is in my opinion. I do think the Gallo shotgun is the best shotgun inside Warzone right now. At number 2, we have a Modern Warfare weapon that no one actually used, but now since the Cold War integration and recent discoveries on damage drop-off points and how they actually work inside Warzone, this gun is an absolute beast at range. I'm actually going to show a quick chart on screen of time to kill values at a distance, and what you'll be able to see is it actually kills faster than the Kilo, and it also kills faster than the Grau at a distance as well. That means it's an extremely accurate weapon that also has a low time to kill at a distance, and I don't know why a lot of people are not using this gun because it's basically just as accurate as a Grau or a Kilo, but it also kills much faster. So in terms of the setup, you want the mono suppressor, this is a must. Then for the barrel, you want the factory 438mm barrel. This is going to give you the longest possible damage range and the fastest bullet velocity, as well as helping you control the recoil. Not that there is much recoil with this gun anyway. Then for your underbarrel, you want that commando foregrip to stabilize the recoil as much as possible. You want the 60 round mags as well to give you the largest possible magazine. And lastly, you want the VLK optic so you can land those shots at a distance. And this is definitely a very underrated weapon inside Warzone in my opinion. You should definitely give this gun a go, especially if you struggle with recoil control on a lot of the other weapons that are the meta at the moment. This gun is very easy to manage, and it also kills faster than a lot of other guns in the game. At number 1, we have a gun that is not too popular, but once people understand how this gun actually works and pair it in the correct class setup, this gun can absolutely shred. The Bullfrog is basically the Bison, but 100 times better in every single way. So for the muzzle, you want to use a GRU suppressor. It's going to help with sound suppression as well as damage range, and it also helps with recoil as well. Then for the barrel, you want to make sure you're using the Task Force barrel. This is the best barrel for most SMGs. It gives you a faster bullet velocity as well as damage range increase. Then of course you want to make sure you've got a 5mm laser equipped. You need this on every SMG to make sure you can hip fire accurately. The Bullfrog already has really good hip fire accuracy, and adding that 5mm laser is just going to make it extremely accurate. The Bullfrog already has an amazing benefit of having such a large magazine, so you can actually skip this attachment entirely. But if you do want to go for something larger, you can go for the 60 round mags or the Stanag 85 round mags. Those are the two I would recommend. They don't impact your aim down sight time as much as the rest of them do. And you want to make sure your SMG is really snappy, so make sure you choose one of those two options, or you can skip this option entirely and pick other attachments. One I would highly recommend is a Spetsnaz grip for controlling recoil, so this is the one I would add on the gun. This gun doesn't have a huge amount of recoil, but the Spetsnaz grip helps with that little recoil it does have. Then lastly, for the stock attachment, I personally prefer the PKM stock, and that's because it gives you faster movement speed overall. Now, like I said, the hipfire accuracy for this gun is extremely accurate, so that slight con is not going to give you any problems. And like I said, this is the best build I've found for the Bullfrog, and I found this works extremely well. The iron sights on this gun are pretty good too, so you don't need any optics on it either. So there we have the top 6 underrated guns inside Warzone at the moment. If you've been stuck on new weapons to try, or if you've been using the meta for a while and getting bored of it, try using these guns, because you're not going to be getting outgunned with these weapons at all. They're definitely extremely viable guns inside Warzone at the moment. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a like, as it helps us get recommended more. On top of that, subscribe to the channel so we can reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And lastly, go ahead and follow us over on Twitch. And thank you very much for watching.